Next up on our list is the college football and NFL weekend. And we got a few different things for you here. It was a fun weekend of games. We're going to start off with Clemson, who played Louisville, Lamar Jackson, their quarterback, and it appeared this was going to be an epic game. Well, we were epically wrong. 47-21, Clemson wins. Lamar Jackson doesn't pile up crazy stats, decent stats. Kelly Bryant, the quarterback for Clemson, was featured. And if you thought that Clemson has a problem with depth and they don't have that many guys ready to step right in, just like Kelly Bryant is now and a lot of other players, check out this young man, last name Etienne, who is the quarterback.
There's Etienne. And breaks a couple of tackles. Look out, he's a sprinter.
That's fast, by the way.
Shades of things to come. Welcome to college football. Travis Etienne. I just had a sense he was going to bust out late.
An embarrassment of riches. An embarrassment. Come on
81 yards.
Come on in, 9. We'll give you a few carries here, kid.
And that's pretty much what Clemson's roster looks like, soup to nuts. So you've been warned. It's going to be that kind of a year. If Dabo's guys can hold up their end of the bargain, they could have a pretty epic team. Next on the list, I got to recognize them. Don't particularly like them, but I will recognize them. Number 4, USC, played Stanford. You kind of figured, hey, you know what? This could be a nice little matchup. This could be something where something good happens. Well, SC stomped on Stanford. Then this last weekend, they play Texas. Texas puts up a hell of a fight. Texas actually at one point looked like they were going to win it. But SC comes back, and SC kicks a field goal at the end and ends up winning this thing. I know a lot of people that like to, I wouldn't call it gambling, but like to wager meals and adult beverages and things like that on football games. They lost a lot of both those on this game here because if you didn't stay up for the end, SC did come back and kick this field goal and end up winning.
Threw a laser to Armani Foreman, and Texas, with 45 seconds remaining in the game, lead by 2, 16-14.
And what a drive engineered by Ellinger.
Left our first overtime.
Yep.
Back to
overtime's over.
Up the middle, has time, fires in the end zone. Burnett caught it. Touchdown. One play, 25-yard strike. He beat Chris Boyd. Extra point coming for the Trojans.
And that was Matt Leinart, Heisman Trophy winning Trojan, standing in the end zone there in that last shot.
Schmidt the holder. Good
nice
snap.
Throw.
Kick is on the way. This looks good. Hanging in the right upright. He's got it. And the Trojans have won it in the second overtime on a 43-yard field goal by Chase McGrath.
And you see those crowd shots. Stands were full. It was a sellout for SC. First time in a few years they've done that. But the Rams the next day, they didn't have quite that big a crowd. In fact, probably about half of that crowd showed up for the pro game. Next up, UCLA. UCLA went to Memphis. UCLA lost to Memphis, 48-45. An embarrassment to anybody that goes to UCLA, an embarrassment to anybody that played at UCLA. I'm in that list. An embarrassment to anybody that has ever thought about playing defense because no one at UCLA knows how to play defense. No one at UCLA knows how to coach people that play defense. And if UCLA wasn't a public school, hungry for money, that doesn't have much of it, they'd probably buy their coach out and fire him. Unbelievable. Bad, bad, bad football. Great for Memphis. Riley Ferguson, their coach, Mike Norvell, great job by him. Share the results.
His first interception of his young career.
For a touchdown. And they're going to fake it. Patterson will throw to the end zone, up for grabs, and it is intercepted by UCLA.
Big play.
Picked off by Octavius Spencer.
Wow. That's a gutsy call by Coach Marvell.
Excuse me. Coach Marvell's name is Norvell. Mike probably to his wife and friends and family, but it's Norvell, not Marvell. I make those mistakes all the time, so I'm not knocking. I'm just correcting. All right, next up in the scoreboard for us is LSU and Mississippi State. And LSU was going to Mississippi State. LSU has dominated Mississippi State. I don't think they've lost a game at Mississippi State since like 99, something like that. So LSU's looked okay the first few games. Well, they got run. They got used and abused in Starksville, and people got a chance to look at Dan Mullen's football team when it's led by a dual threat, highly athletic quarterback. They're going to be kind of hard to beat.
Tonight.
3rd and 1. Hit that ball on the hip well, and Mixon's going to walk in. Oh, what a night for Fitzgerald. He's going to pass off of it, and another touchdown. Dedrick Thomas. Nick Fitzgerald is lighting them up.
Their very first date was a football game here at Mississippi State.
Really?
And so it's just fitting that 2 years later on their anniversary, Eric asked Caitlin to marry him on the field. He said,
Wow. Was she wearing a T-shirt, or was that actually a dress? I couldn't really notice, but good. Good for them. Good for them. Getting married, and Mississippi State's heading to Athens. They play the Bulldogs this coming Saturday. And if they beat LSU 37-7, I would think I'd hazard a guess that the Bulldogs better be ready, because they could have an epic butt whipping in their future, the way that Dan Mullen's football team is playing right now. All right, let's go to the game that a lot of people saw the end of, the best end to a football game we saw this weekend, even with the SC game, even with everything else. How about Florida beating Tennessee? The Gators. Not last breath, last chance, last play. Their quarterback, Felipe Franks, gets flushed from the pocket and throws a touchdown behind the Tennessee defenders. Now, as you watch this
20-20 game, you think,
remember,
all right, Florida's going to get the ball.
Yeah.
I think we're all in here thinking,
Hand the ball off or take a knee and let's go
deeper
to
than the deepest. Can't get by anybody.
They didn't. Last chance. Franks fires
What?
deep. Tyree Cleveland, touchdown.
The throw was amazing, but what got him the opportunity was the scramble and the escapability there, Coach.
And that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
That's what he brings to the table.
How about the fact that the defense screwed up and let one of their receivers behind him? How about that one? How do you do that? How in the hell do you do that? I've seen the balls tipped in the air like in that Auburn-Georgia game a couple years ago, and the receiver keeps running and gets behind the DB. But on a last breath, last chance throw, how does anybody get behind somebody defensively if you're doing it right? And obviously they weren't doing it right. But Florida pulls it out, and it's going to be a long, long week before Tennessee gets a chance to play football again and get that taste out of their mouth. Let's go over to the NFL. Some of the big scores over the NFL weekend that just big NFL weekend that just happened. The Patriots, who lost on the first weekend of the season, the first Thursday of the weekend, went to New Orleans and abused Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. They had no problem. I think Brady threw for 400 and something yards, more yards than any other 40-year-old quarterback ever. I don't know. I used to watch some of these NFL games this year. I did NFL games on TV for 20 years. And the NFL game is getting as close as you could possibly get to 7-on-7. That happens to let, a dozen or so fat guys stand around and watch, because it's just throwing and going. And they did an unbelievable job, did the Patriots. The next score that stood out to me were the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are for real. They beat New England in the first game. This game, they went to Philadelphia, or the Philadelphia Eagles came to Kansas City, and they beat them too. Alex Smith, Kareem Hunt, you've got some legit football going on in Kansas City. Good for Andy Reid and good for Chief fans. These are some of the best fans, friendliest fans, and loyal fans of the NFL community. Next up on the list, the Cowgirls. The Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys. Excuse me. And it's not because they won. Denver kind of run them. In Denver, long delay. The greatest synopsis of how'd you spend your delay, the Cowboy players talked about spending their time, the hour or so because of the lightning in the area, working on schemes and working on the game plan. And they asked Denver guys how they spent their time. And the Denver guys said, yeah, I don't know. We had some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and some Gatorade, and we just kind of sat around and talked. Yeah, no big deal. Well, they played that relaxed, and they ran the Dallas Cowboys out of the stadium. They did a great job, led by that defense. I'm not going to downplay anything that Trevor Siemian did, the quarterback, or anybody on the offense for the Broncos, but that game, the tone was set by that Denver Bronco defense. Next up on the list was a game that happened last night. The Atlanta Falcons in that beautiful new stadium hosting the Green Bay Packers for the third time in the last, 18, 19 games, including the playoffs, or 20 games, regular season games. They beat them last night, 34-23. Matt Ryan and the offense played really well. The defense was the difference again. They abused Aaron Rodgers and the Packers at times. They played them in the NFC Championship game last year, and they played them in the regular season last year. And the result is the Falcons are 3-0. And as of right now, you've got to think the Falcons should be and are the best team in the National Football Conference. See if they can stay there, but you're going to hear about that 28-3 stuff. You heard about it like crazy last night on Sunday Night Football. You're going to hear it forevermore until they raise a Lombardi trophy. And if they do that this year, it'll be some strong-willed individuals that led that charge. All right, final little thing in the week that was is something that went on yesterday in Oakland. The New York Jets, laughable in and of themselves of late, played at the Oakland Raiders. And this is not so much about the game, because the game was a joke. The Raiders had their way. Any old way they wanted, they had that way with the New York Jets. But Marshawn Lynch, the newest member of the Oakland Raiders, I guess over the last few months, high-profile guy at least, decided he was in a good mood and things are going well. And, well, this broke out on the sideline, then started on the scoreboard screen.
Hold it down for the Bay, reppin' Oakland. If it wasn't for that granddaddy smoking, that's what I mean for sure. Know what I mean for sheets. Know what I mean for sure. Know what I mean for sheets. Know what I mean for sure. Know what I mean for sheets. Know what I mean for sure. Know what I mean for sheets. I don't put that on, that's my word. I don't put that on, that's my word. I don't think they know, that's my word. I don't put that on, that's my word. Oh, do a little shitty, but have I lost you? You still with me? But seeking, kicking and sneaking, all in the door, the nappy frog still freaking. On weakness, beneath the
and the fans went wild. Fans went wild. I heard from a friend that was at that game that said the whole stadium went crazy when they started showing that on the big scoreboard, though the people right behind it were watching it the whole time. Comment from a player for the New York Jets after the game. He called that display by Marshawn Lynch and the Raiders demoralizing. And the only question I had was, you mean more demoralizing than being a member of the New York Jets? They suck. Marshawn, not so much. That's a great, great show by Marshawn Lynch.